Hi, I just received a message from one of my friends in my YouTube channel, and this person asked me to say my ideas about studying FIDIC contract. Um, my friend is working for a construction company in Vietnam, and she doesn't know how to start with uh, FIDIC because she's working for a construction company. In my opinion, it is suitable to introduce FIDIC Red Book 1997. It is a contract for building and engineering works designed by the employers, which means the designs will be provided by the employers and the contractors, or in other words, the successful tenderer will be responsible for construction only. So I would say the contract ties of FIDIC Red Book 1997 is construct only. A little bit about me. My name is Thanh Tùng Nguyễn. I have been working in the quantity surveyor field for more than uh, 15 years. The last company I worked for is a multinational property company in Ho Chi Minh City. And so in this video, I will talk through the FIDIC Red Book 1997. I will focus on explaining the main event of FIDIC Red Book and some relevant key words and expressions of this contract. So, like the standard forms contract, FIDIC 1997 Red Book is also a complicated document. It consists of a lot of chapters and coherent conditions. So I think it can be tricky for those who are not familiar with the FIDIC to jump into the contract document right away. So for that reason, I abstract a framework from FIDIC 1997 here, and then I will explain the meanings of these events, in which I divided the construction contract into two phases. The first one is pre-contract. Pre-contract is the time from we issue the tender document to the time when we start commencement, start construction. And the post-contract is the periods from the construction time to the time the contractor accomplish their obligations under the contract. So here is the framework or the demonstrations of the main events happening in a construction contract according to a FIDIC Red Book. That is from the issue of tender document until the time when the contractor completes their performance. And I divide it into two periods. The first is the pre-contract periods, and the second the post-contract periods. So pre-contract periods is the time from we issue tender documents to tenderers until the time the employers awards contract to the successful tenderers, and the post contract is the time when work commence, work start on site until the contractor uh, completes or obligation under the contract. So here I will explain what is the tender documents. So a tender document usually consists of condition of contract, or we say general condition of contract. This is the document provided by FIDIC, the standards, and um, there is not anything changed from that standard form. And the second component is particular condition of contract. This is the amendment to the standards form of contract because there may be something is not suitable for a specific project. For example, if we are going to award a contract based on lump sum mechanism, but the design of FIDIC contract is a remeasurement quantity. So if we don't amend the standard condition of contract, we will have to pay for the contractor based on final remeasurement quantity. And the next component is build quantity. Build quantity is very common for the construction professional. For those who are not in the field, I would say build quantities is like a, a, an invoice when we buy something, the list or relevant items and the quantifications of that item with corresponding price. So the total cost of build quantity will be our price. And the next component of a tender document is specifications and drawings. Specifications is the criteria prepared by the consultant, the one who come up with the design to ensure the project will be completed according to their design and criteria. And of course, the drawing is very straightforward. And the last one, the last components of a tender document is the contract data, or sometimes we can say is the appendix to tender. This is quite important because it highlights all important things, important conditions that the employer want to let want to remind the tenderers know, and they want to ensure all tenderers must be aware of the contract data condition and incorporate these requirements into the tender price. See, very important. And I have explained the tender documents. Now we move to the base date. The base date is the day on which the contractors and the relevant parties to the contract refer to when they calculating the fluctuation cost due to inflations or material price changes. So because the FIDIC contract initially is designed for remeasurement quantity, remeasurement final quantity. FIDIC is not a lump sum contract, so keep in mind, if we want to apply lump sum contract, we have to amend the standard condition contract in the particular condition contract. Otherwise, we have to pay based on final remeasurement quantity. And when all tenderers submitted their submission, is the we call submission of the tender. Then during that time, the employers may carry out tender evaluation. They may check the tender price, the technical, everything, and after that, tenderers may be invited uh, to tender clarification meeting to clarify their tender and explain the uncertain things in their tender, and then they may have a chance to resubmit their tender in order to ensure the compliance with the employer's requirement. And then when all the thing has been settled in terms of technical, in terms of the tender price, the contractor will award tender to a successful tenderers. This may be based on quality, or based on tender price, or based on a combination of quality and tender price. Then at that time, the employer awards the letter of acceptance. In here, letter of acceptance. So letter of acceptance is a letter officially signed by the employers to inform the tenderers that the employers formally accept the tender offer from that tenderers. A letter of acceptance is quite important because they put all the important or the crucial conditions in terms of contract condition and price, and any amendment that both sides have agreed during tender negotiation. So this is the letter of acceptance and pre-contract has been completed as system. Moving forward, I will explain about the post contract. So before the post contract, the contract, the contractor or the successful tenderers has to submit the performance security for the employer before any work can commence on site. According to FIDIC, if a contractor is unable to submit performance security, they will not be entitled to receive any advance payment, or in other words, any payments. So performance security is a very important document that the contractor has to obtain and submit to the employers in order to get payment. In my personal experience, I have encountered some situation in which the successful tenderer is unable to submit performance security, and is a big problem. So in order to avoid this happening, risk happening in the uh, in our tender. We should pay much attention in screening out the financial capability of a tenderer before issuing tender invitation for them. Yeah. So moving forward, um, after the contractor receive the letter of acceptance or LOA and has submitted the performance security, work commence on site, or we can say the commencement day. Commencement day is the day work start on site, and usually the commencement day will be recorded in our letter of acceptance. And the term for completion here is the term that the employer requires the successful tenderer, or from now on we will say the contractor to complete the project. For example, if a term for completion of a project is 12 months, that's stipulated in the letter of acceptance, then the contractor must complete the work within 12 months from the commencement date. And then during the construction periods from here to here, there may be delays attributable to the contractor. For example, delay due to insufficient labor on site, or delay in delivery material on site due to contractors late in payment receipt. For many reasons, we can say the delay. And then from the commencement day plus the time of completion, we will have the day on completion. That means the day on completion means the day on which the employer expect or require the contractor must complete the construction work and handing over to the employer on that day. And in that day, that means the day the contractor hand over the projects to the employer will issue the taking over certificate to confirm that on that day the contractor has handed over to the employer for occupying. And from the taking over certificate day, we will start a very important period called defect notification period. That means after the contractors complete construction of a project, they will be responsible for rectification any defect occur during the defect notification period. Usually, the defect notification period in a FIDIC contract is about 18 months for a big project. It can be 12 months, but maximum 24 months. It's no longer than 24 months. Then, as I mentioned earlier, during the defect notification period, the contractor has the right to rectify any defect occur in the project. In case they are unable to rectify any defects, the employers may employ third party to carry out on their behalf, and the cost occurs will be deducted from the contractor's account. And according to FIDIC, after the defect notification period is expired, that means the time has ended uh, during the defect notification period. Usually the contractor will have no obligation to repair or to rectify any defects occurs. But keep in mind, uh, the contractor must obtain the performance certificate issued by the employers. Otherwise, the process is not considered as complete. Uh, Legally, the contractor will have to pay for uh, further defects or cost if they don't obtain performance certificate from the employer. And that is the fundamental and overview of a FIDIC Red Book and the relevant key terms and expressions in a FIDIC contract. I will come back in detail in the next video. Thank you for listening.